great honor to be immortalized.
Welcome to a world where stars are made, not born, recreated in amazing lifelike detail.
You know, you could get into premieres with that thing if you wanted to.
So this is what it feels like to grope me.
Welcome to a world where the people rub shoulders with the famous, and the famous get to see themselves as never before.
That looks fantastic. I love it!
Yeah.
Welcome to a world where artists and craftsmen use centuries-old techniques in pursuit of an age-old quest to produce the perfect human likeness.
You never know who's for real and who's not. And so I guess the only way to find out is put them out in the sun.
It all started with the vision of one remarkable woman. The attraction she founded over 200 years ago came to America in 1999. Welcome to the most famous wax museum in the world, Madame Tussauds. Most visitors to London have a must-see itinerary, and Madame Tussauds is right up there with Trafalgar Square and Big Ben. Madame Tussauds is a British institution. So too is the waiting crowd, which greets every new arrival to the attraction. The line can stretch up to a mile in length during summer months, with visitors from all over the world drawn by the lure of celebrity.
Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, Frankenstein possibly.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I hate the Spice Girls and Britney Spears.
I think this does a better job in the wax personalities than probably any place in the world.
Stage to the right, please. To the right.
Madame Tussauds gets 3 million visitors through its doors every year. That's twice the number of visitors to the White House. Once inside, your ticket buys a close-up look at 387 of the most famous people in the world.
It's a damn good John Wayne. Yeah. He's tall.
Yeah, it is a good John Wayne.
For once, it's the celebrities who are the captive audience.
God, it looks just like he does in the films. Come on. That is so lifelike. Oh my God.
For most, the only other place the famous will be this close is in their dreams.
Look at them giving him a hairy chest. Last time I came here, I was very young, so I remember being a bit bewildered by the whole thing, but thinking that I was actually seeing all my childhood idols and celebrities actually in the flesh. But coming here now, I mean, the technology is just absolutely amazing because, I mean, some of these, you actually feel like you're standing next to the person.
Holy cow. This is huge. Yeah, it is.
The figures are drawn from every period of history and every walk of life. It takes about 2 hours to see the whole attraction.
I think it's amazing that they got all these people to model. That's really good, Rob. Dude, that looks like hair too, doesn't it?
They do a really good job with the hair.
It is hair.
I know.
It's really short hair. I thought it was like spray paint.
They can't get real hair for it. I must have said a million times, I can't believe the size of this person.
Right,
I thought they had a different characteristic. I thought Sean Connery is much more broad-shouldered. Just different physical characteristics that film hides that you can't get through the replicas.
They have to capture that, like, one essence of the person and the way they act. And so I would think it's difficult. I mean, they do a great job on 95% of them.
Yes, definitely.
They're a little off.
The game all visitors to Madame Tussauds love to play is judging just how close the wax portraits are to real life.
Here's the test. Can you name all the presidents? All right, go from the right.
Oh, wait, hold on. Washington, Bush, Lincoln, Clinton. But you're right, though, that bush one is really good.
Well, there are a number of other wax museums around the world. A number of them, in fact, rather flatteringly try and copy some of the things that we do. But the biggest single difference, I think, between ourselves and other wax portraits is the quality of what we do in terms of the actual finished wax portrait.
What the visitor to Madame Tussauds does not see is the massive effort behind the scenes where the portraits are made. Here in Madame Tussauds studios, skilled craftsmen aim to recreate the stars in complete and total accuracy. When the team created portraits of the Spice Girls, it was the first time they had portrayed an entire band since the Beatles. For most celebrities, seeing their wax counterparts for the first time is an exhilarating yet unnerving experience. The Spice Girls were no exception.
Oh my God! Isn't that weird? That is me! Wow. I look a bit scary, don't I? Fantastic. I love it! Yeah, I do. I think she looks very sexy and very beautiful.
It took a lot longer than I expected. It really did take a long time. And I didn't realise quite how accurate. I mean, the measurements are unbelievable.
I do that.
We were given access to the inner secrets of Madame Tussauds' portrait-making process. Professional sculptors are employed, established artists in their own right, to create each celebrity's likeness in clay. Using the same techniques established by the original Madame Tussaud over 2 centuries ago, a plaster mold is created around the clay head. The mold is then filled with molten wax. Once the wax is set, the head can be cast. No one has yet found a better material than wax as a basis for mimicking the human likeness in 3D.
We like to use wax not only because it's the historical tradition that Madame Tussaud herself used hundreds of years ago, quite literally, but because it is one of the best materials to help show the translucence of skin. You can put veining detail and pore detail and so on much more convincingly in wax than any other material.
Each figure is a major investment by Tussauds. They take 6 months to complete and cost up to $75,000 a piece. And unless their subject is dead, like Buffalo Bill, or refuses to meet the sculptors, like Woody Allen, the process begins with an intense scrutiny of the subject in the flesh. When Madame Tussauds chose 3-time world champion ice skater Michelle Kwan to be immortalized in wax, 2 of their London sculptors traveled to Beverly Hills for the assignment.
Ready? Michelle, this is Jenny from Madame Tussaud.
It will be a technically challenging portrait. The team must capture the grace and beauty of an Olympic athlete in mid-performance.
Now that's incredible.
Yes. So that you get the whole sort of pattern of the hair growing.
Yeah.
Tussauds' principal sculptor, Steve Swales, is on hand to supervise, but the portrait has been entrusted to Jenny Ferry. She's on her first major assignment for the museum.
Like, that's pretty real. You found him exactly. It is a photograph.
That's the real man.
This is how the whole portrait-making process begins, with an intense 3-hour session called the sitting. The team's first priority is to agree with Michelle on how she should be portrayed.
We want to give the feeling of movement, but without you moving.
Yeah. I think it'd be better just looking more.
Sort of, so eyes straight. Yeah.
Because down
yeah.
I wouldn't want it looking down. More of like...
level, yeah.
Not level, lower than eye level.
There's something that you're...
She knows her moves very well. It's exactly the same. It's perfect. Okay, you can get back into the pose for me.
It's vital that Jenny establishes a good relationship with her subject. The sitting is a precise and intimate affair, even for people in the public eye used to being scrutinized.
You like that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Michelle Kwan's body will be mapped out thoroughly from every angle. In all, Jenny and Steve will take over 200 separate measurements.
Sternum to spine.
Hang on, I'll do both.
126.6.
This is the essential groundwork for a realistic portrait.
I'm not going to hurt you.
Jenny must return to London with all the information she will need to reproduce Michelle Kwan's body in total 3D accuracy.
Oh, I can sit now.
Madame Tussauds pride themselves on the technical quality of their portraits caught in motion, like Russian gymnast Olga Korbut and the English ballet star Darcy Bussell.
It's a great honor to be immortalized, because when you look back at it, I can take my grandchildren and tell them, this is how Grandma used to look like, with no wrinkles.
So do you want to put something more comfortable on?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
I'll be back in a flash.
Okay.
The measurements don't always stop at the sitting. Supermodel and actress Elle Macpherson took time out from her schedule to check her portrait in the making.
It's very impressive, I have to say. I've never seen my nose on profile.
She is asked by Madame Tussauds studios in London to come and sit for what's called a side-by-side.
You can get rid of some of my wrinkles if you want.
Okay, yeah, no worries. To come out of it.
The side-by-side gives sculptor Jim Kempton a chance to check the accuracy of his portrait.
I'm embarrassed.
No, that's perfect.
Oh, you just added another wrinkle.
I didn't. No. It's a smile crease. It's a big difference. Smile again.
Time is running out in L.A. at the Michelle Kwan sitting.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Jenny? I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Name in it. What would you say, that one?
Unfortunately, Michelle won't be traveling to London. The sculptors must make sure they've got all the information they need from this session. Michelle signs the sittings book, and the first stage of the process is complete.
That's great.
I'm really buzzing now. There's real excitement, the whole thing. You're just running on adrenaline, I think. Just trying to remember everything. There's so many things.
And I forgot loads of things, and luckily Jenny remembered them.
I was looking at her constantly through the sitting, as well as trying to remember to do the measurements, so that little things I can think of. I'm going to go back to the hotel now and write a few things down, remember her face.